I want to go to Sol Wisenberg. You know, the one great thing about covering this trial is getting to know Sol, at least on TV. He's a brilliant lawyer, and he can endure my idiotic questions. I always appreciate that because not everyone's so patient. But Sol, I want to get your thoughts on these jury instructions today. What are we talking about here? There's been a lot of talk about delineating between misdemeanors and felonies and all of that. What can we expect?
Well, Neil, thank you for the kind comments. Jury instructions are critically important in white-collar cases. And here you've got something, an offense that couldn't be charged anymore as a misdemeanor because as we've said several times, the statute of limitations on misdemeanors had expired, so they had to bump it into a felony. What bumps false records into a felony is that you've got to be doing it to cover up, intending to cover up or to commit a separate crime. And they can't convict President Trump, in my opinion, without proving beyond a reasonable doubt that he had the specific intent to commit one of these other crimes or to cover it up. And so if the jury gets a jury instruction that says that, I think that will be very beneficial to former President Trump. If they get something that's vaguer that says, oh, he just has to have a general intent to know that something is being done that's unlawful, then that'll be good for the prosecution. But I can't emphasize enough the importance of jury instructions. And in my experience, jurors look very closely at those and listen to those.
You know, in the meantime, the jury will be home at their respective homes for the next week, right? They'll be around their friends and family members who will no doubt be curious, knowing full well they have loved ones or friends who sit on this incredible jury, and offer thoughts and ideas. They might be tempted to look at news or read papers, even though the judge properly admonishes them not to do that. I don't know in your history whether juries have followed that advice, but what do you think?
Well, this is a very high-profile trial, so I haven't had anything that actually went to trial that was this high-profile. But I would be very worried about that if I were either side. I'd be very worried about influence. It's very tough, even for a jury trying to do its job, to not look at any media sources, to not hear from any friends or family members.
Does your history tell you, Sol?
Worry me.
I'm sorry, that they honor this? I mean, it would be very tempting to just say, gee, how is the media covering this? Just to give it a quick look and all. And then I start thinking, and this is maybe was Donald Trump's concern, you know, in this bluest of blue cities, will they be guided or at all influenced by their bluest of blue friends? I'm simplifying it to say, could that work against Donald Trump?
It certainly could. Most jurors try very hard to be conscientious and listen to the judge. But it's a concern, particularly, it's getting harder and harder to find jurors that don't look at social media. I mean, particularly in our social media age, it's everywhere. So it's just a concern. It's the way the case, has evolved. The defense obviously thought it was important for them to put Costello on the stand. I understand why. Very, very risky move. And the reason why it's risky, in the case of Costello, juries tend to bond with their judges. They love their judges. And it's very clear that the judge was not happy with Costello, and that Costello apparently was being somewhat disrespectful to the judge yesterday. And that's something that is not good for Team Trump. So the question would be whether his testimony was worth it.
See, this is proof you always give an edge that others miss. Great insight. So we'll just see. We'll see what happens and how they behave over the next week. Sol Wisenberg, the former Whitewater deputy independent counsel, uncanny legal read of these things.